US-Israel-Iran war is now entering a new phase. During the first 12 to 13 days of the conflict, the US and Israel were purely on the offensive. Now, Washington finds itself compelled to seriously consider the defensive factor as well. The main reason is Iran's expansion of the military operations geography. As Tehran broadens the scale of the war, new problems are emerging for the US. The conversation is no longer only about the security of bases in Gulf countries, but also about military facilities in Iraq. The most critical issue from a strategic standpoint concerns the Strait of Hormuz. In practical terms, commercial tankers have been left helpless in the strait. With this move, Iran is drawing European countries into the process as well. However, European states cannot directly join the war. The reason is simple: the Russia-Ukraine war. Iran is pushing for the war to deepen further, and the role of Russia and China in this is undeniable. Donald Trump has repeatedly stated that he will not provide military support for tanker protection. He even told ship owners to be brave and pass through. The White House is now aware that it has fallen into a serious quagmire in the Gulf. Over the past few days, officials have announced that additional forces will be sent to ensure security in the Strait of Hormuz. Where can these ships come from? The initial assumption is the Pacific Basin. But if US carrier groups leave the Pacific and head to the Middle East, China will immediately fill the geopolitical vacuum that forms there. It is no coincidence that Taiwan's Ministry of Defense has already announced that Chinese carrier groups and combat aircraft have become active around the island. In other words, China made its move before the US even began to maneuver. Bringing ships from the Arctic direction, on the other hand, would create conditions for Russia to seize the upper hand in that region. The current picture shows that the US needs more warships to organize its defense. Although Donald Trump claims to have destroyed Iran's naval force, Iran's naval power is based on speedboats. These fast boats are equipped with missiles. Iran also possesses kamikaze boats, underwater drones, and anti-ship missiles. Of course, considering the air and space intelligence superiority of the US and Israel, those boats could be detected before leaving coastal waters. However, even this technological advantage is not enough to diminish the scale of a war that has already taken on an intercontinental character. In this situation, the idea of capturing Kark Island emerges as an alternative plan. While capturing it may be easy, holding it under current conditions is impossible. To supply the island, one must again pass through Iran's coastal waters, which amounts to suicide. To protect it, one would need to advance at least 50 to 100 kilometers inside Iran and conduct a ground operation, requiring tens of thousands of soldiers. The US military doctrine is built on the principle of risk versus benefit. The benefit of taking Kark Island is far outweighed by the resources that would be lost and the advantage conceded to China in the Pacific. The main question at this moment is, can the US stop the war whenever it wants? I believe the answer is no. Just as stopping the Russia-Ukraine war is not in the hands of Russia or Ukraine. Iran has expanded the scale of the war to such a degree that stopping the process now requires convincing other stakeholders as well. Tehran's demand that reparations must be paid and US bases must be withdrawn from the region is in fact also the demand of China and Russia. If the US withdraws from the Gulf, these two powers will immediately fill the vacuum. The fragmentation does not end with the Middle East. Tensions are rising in Eastern Europe as well. Serbia's announcement that Albania, Kosovo, and Croatia have formed a military alliance against it, and its purchase of missiles from China, signals the possibility of a new front opening. This is part of China and Russia's plan to scatter US attention across more and more points. At the same time, this can be characterized as a threat and blackmail against European countries. The cards are now on the table, the players are known. The countries that have not yet joined the process will, in time, determine their positions.